here's why I think not being accepted by the group or not having a big community is actually your biggest advantage. And this is coming from life experience. My backstory is I was raised with Iraqi immigrant parents. We didn't really have a big community here, and the community we did have, we barely even saw. And then my own family, we just had so much turmoil, and we moved so much that I didn't even really have like a big friend group or just any. Honestly, I just feel like I didn't really ever have a sense of community. So if you're in the same boat, I do understand how lonely it can feel and how isolating it is. But here's why it's actually your biggest advantage ever. Because when you have a big community, and you're going to see this time and time again as you grow up, or I'm sure you've already seen, there is an immense pressure to follow. There's an invisible rule book when it comes to community. Whether this is your family, whether this is your friend group, but there is a way to act, what to do with your life. There's decisions that are acceptable and unacceptable, and I've seen it time and time again. Sometimes it can be very extreme, like in these Arabic or, very traditional immigrant families. It can be very strict of who you marry, what you do for school, how you dress. And that's kind of was the example for me. But I'm even talking about friend groups of what you can and can't do socially, what school you guys end up going to, what you guys do after high school. And sometimes these pressures can be really positive pressures, but a lot of the times it can feel super suffocating. And for me personally, it was basically like a risk versus reward scale. I'm a very logical person, and that's the way I always saw it. Is something I really wanted to do was do social media and just be a little bit more free with my life. And this is not something that I'm able to do with the traditional background I come from. But for me personally, my family was never close. We didn't really have like that sense of community. Like I said, like I didn't really have people I saw daily where the relationships were worth keeping super strongly. So for me, I was able to branch out and do it, where I see lots of people where they are a little bit miserable in their like family dynamic, but because it's just good enough and they're being, financially helped a lot, which I also wasn't, it's worth it for them. It's actually worth it for them to be a little bit miserable and stick it around, have the community, and still marry who their parents want them to marry and do the job that their parents want them to do. And I'm just saying that, of course, it's amazing to have that, and it's awesome to have a big group and people and feel like you belong somewhere. But I'm just saying that if you don't, there is also a huge advantage to it, as you can literally do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about what anybody's going to think, or you just worry about it way less. I think a lot of people have asked me that, of how are you able to do social media? How are you able to do A, B, and C? How did you marry your husband when he's white and you're Arab? And to me, it's just a simple answer. I just do it. But then I also don't realize that when they're asking me that, it's because they actually have people that they're super close with, where their opinions and them being accepted by the herd, accepted by the group, is super important to them, where I have never ever experienced that, and I've never felt that way. So for me, it's super easy to say, well, I'm just going to post. I'm just going to marry who I want to marry. Why would anyone stop me? Why would the risk of them not speaking to me be worth me not doing what I truly want in life and what I know is right for me? And for me, the answer was always easy, because I just didn't empathize with the fact that they actually had a big group and childhood friends and this big, sense of belonging somewhere where they actually wanted to stay accepted. Like it really didn't clock to me. It never actually hit me until I got a little bit older and realized what a great advantage it actually is, even though it can be so painful growing up, like not having any extended family, because my mom and dad came here basically alone. I just have like one aunt that lived, but she was also very distant from us growing up, and I didn't really feel that feeling of like being super close to any community or group. We moved a lot. We moved to different schools, and there was just a lot of like family turmoil and stuff like that. So I had like some friends here and there, but I didn't have like a strong friend group. And in that same way, it was super easy to post and super easy to do social media, because I didn't worry too much about even what my peers were going to think about it, because I just already felt super independent. And I think another advantage that gives you is you actually have to be very strong and convicted in what you believe and your moral compass and what you want. You have to sit down with yourself and say, well, who am I? What do I want? Where a lot of the times when somebody has a big sense of community, they just follow the herd mentality and they go, well, everybody's doing this, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to this school. I'm going to marry into this group. And a lot of the times, not all the time, but sometimes it can lead to a lot of resentment and unhappiness and blame to the people that they kind of followed. Basically it creates followers. Sometimes it can create followers. Sometimes that's good pressure, but sometimes it can be super suffocating and cause you to make huge mistakes really young. Like, for example, going into a career that you really didn't want to. Like, I remember right away, right when I was 17, I listened to my mom at first, signed up for university, and then realized that I didn't want to do it, left it. After the orientation, I was like, oh my God, this is so not for me. Not that I even want to know what I want to do now, but it helped me to take a huge risk, do sales, and then grow a great work ethic from doing door-to-door sales and doing a super hard job, and then translate that into social media. And now I feel like I'm creating money and like an income source that I would have never believed as somebody who had immigrant parents. Literally, we were sometimes so broke, the power would go out, we had no hot water. Like, I'm creating an income from my phone, from my house. I'm able to now take my mom on an all-inclusive trip that we're going to go on in a couple days because of the power of social media. So I just feel like it's really cool. And sometimes when you take that risk on yourself, I know a lot of people are super conservative with the way they do things, which I understand. But for me personally, I just feel like when I'm young is when I'm going to take those risks. I have less liability. I have less things to worry about. So this is the best time to me to do high risk. And I have the privilege of independence. And all I'm saying is I do know the pain of not having a big group, or like feeling like you have a friendship or somebody to confide in, kind of feeling a little bit isolated. Not that I was ever truly isolated, always had a friend or two, and like I always had my siblings. But I'm just saying, if you do feel a little bit lonely, like I just also want to say it's kind of nice, because if nobody cares, then you also don't have to care what anybody thinks, and you can kind of do whatever you want and kind of go after what you want. And just realize that there always is a positive to everything, because it truly is such a positive to be able to just do what you truly want to and not have to worry about the opinions of a million people before you make a decision and feel an immense pressure to like follow a certain way of doing things. So I don't know if you guys relate to that at all, or if this is not really making any sense. I mean, idea just kind of came to me, and also I wanted to try the mic out because I haven't used it for a single one of my videos. So let me know if you agree, disagree, or what you feel and what your experience is. I can go in to more detail if you guys want about why I felt this way. But yeah, I hope everybody has an amazing day, and peace. Love you guys.